And a good Wednesday morning, Eagles fans. Appreciate you streaming in here bright and early with us. I'm Birds 365, Mac and Mac guys, John McMullen and Jody McDonald hanging with you for the next 2 hours. We got two good guests, Eagle-centric. We should have some fun and some insight with them coming up, Jimmy Kempski and Mike Gill. Johnny Mac, I'm going to let you choose today. I think there are three decent topics to potentially start the show with today. So you tell me what your preferred topic would be. Eagles running game this upcoming season, fifth-year contract options, or the Eagles benefiting from tampering. Which of those three grabs your attention the most?
Well, that's good. I'm going to go. Everything grabs my attention. Let's get tampering out of the way because I long for the days when people just complained about Jonathon Gannon being a bad defensive coordinator. Can we go back to that? Can we go back to that? Because this narrative, Jody, I got to tell you, this narrative that he wasn't invested in winning the Super Bowl, I can't. There are certain subjects, you know me by now, that I just can't give an inch. I can't listen to that. It's absurd. It's not. You're talking about a lifetime football guy with ambition who doesn't have 40 rings in the closet. He's in the game. Yeah, he doesn't want to win the game, Jody, because he's I can't just go back. I said it yesterday on Twitter. If you need the scapegoat, take the scapegoat. Just go. He's a shitty defensive coordinator, and that's why they lost the game. That I could work with. I could work with that. Not invested in winning the Super Bowl.
All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and let me get on the record in saying I'm doing just that because I'm 99% in agreement with you. I think a lot of the detractors, a lot of the haters are not going so far as to saying that he was not invested. He was distracted. That yes, he was on task and he knew his job, and winning the Super Bowl would certainly be great for him and all these guys that he shared a room with the last week. Yeah, but when am I going to have my first Cardinal practice? Let me take a peek at that Cardinal roster again. What can we potentially do? I think that's at least based in a reasonable argument. The fact that Jonathon Gannon didn't care, or we lose, no big deal, that's just complete and utter BS. Yes, I'm with you 100% on that one. But the human nature, the human aspect, you can't just give him a percent or two of if he was 100% focused because he felt it was a done deal, he was going to become the Arizona coach, was the only 98%, which 98% should be damn good enough. You don't know that there weren't other guys that had stuff going on in their life in that Eagle.
Yeah, I know one. I know one, Jody. I know one. Shane Steichen.
The offense coordinator in the same exact position, right?
Yeah. Shane Steichen interviewed with Indianapolis after the NFC Championship game, but he was allowed to, because it was a second interview. It wasn't a first interview. So the mucked up legislation of the NFL, as it typically is, does that affect somebody's distraction level? It's okay for Shane Steichen because, again, it's a second interview. It's not okay for Jonathon Gannon because it's a first interview. This shit goes on all the time with Super Bowl coaches on Super Bowl teams. Same thing happened with Kevin O'Connell. When the Rams won the Super Bowl, everybody in the world knew he was getting a job in Minnesota by that time. Was he distracted? I don't know, but he won the game, so nobody cares.
Right.
I think people are capable, as you know in your life, and I know in my life, are capable of pivoting from one thing to the other like human beings do every day in their lives. It again, I can't even give it any lip service. The Eagles, by the way, as they typically are, and this is where I give them credit, they took advantage of a young GM who didn't have a full grasp of the stupid rules. And they are stupid because one interview, you can have a second interview, but you can't have a first interview in between. I mean, it's just dumb. It really is dumb. So if you want the scapegoat, you got the scapegoat. Use him as the scapegoat. Say he's a bad defensive coordinator. Say he did a bad job. Don't give me this lack of it. He's the most competitive guy in the stinking world. And I know people don't know that, but he's not wanting to win the Super Bowl. That's just, that part of it is just such nonsense. I can't even spend, I can't give it 1%, Jody.
Yeah, I'm not going doesn't care, but distracted, yes. But he's not, as again, as we both agree, wasn't the only one who was this much distracted. There were others. So if you want to throw it all on Gannon, go ahead, fine. Last time I checked, Gannon wasn't involved in the coverage of punts, which was as big a play as any other play. The walk-in touchdowns that they gave up, well, one of them wouldn't have been a walk-in if they had been able to cover.
But, as I said, people need it. Jeffrey Lurie needs scapegoats, right? When things don't go as planned, he always picks a scapegoat. Might be Mike Rowe, might be Carson Walsh, blah, blah, blah. Everybody needs a scapegoat. He's gone. Use the scapegoat if it makes you feel better. That's fine. I have no issue with that. But when people start saying, oh, my God, this, Jody, and by the way, and you know this, and now I can talk about it. On Saturday before the game, I got word he was getting the Arizona
and you
job.
Text me.
And I texted you. That's why
the Steichen thing was already done. Yeah. And you said, both coordinators are out the door. Neither one is going to be back with the Eagles next year.
So I think I bring that up only for this reason. I think a lot of people are saying, a lot of people think the Eagles were blindsided by this. They were not blindsided by this. Yes, Jonathon Gannon plays the game. Oh, I didn't know till after game. Everybody does this crap. The Eagles knew it. You think I knew it and the Eagles didn't know it? We talked to him. Bull. I mean, come on. Use some common sense. I'm not talking to you. I got a tough time with this one. Jody. I really do.
But there are a couple questions that come off it above and beyond. People just want to lay the entire Eagles Super Bowl loss on Jonathon Gannon, which is 100% not fair. The Eagles benefited. The Eagles got to move up 30 some odd slots in the third round because of this self-reported. The Arizona Cardinals threw the flag on themselves. That's the way it came down, right? Eagles got wind of this. Eagles figured it out. Eagles were given knowledge. However, the Eagles came up with the information, and they went directly to the commissioner and the league office and said, this just isn't right. They broke the rules. They should pay a price. And somehow, for some reason, the league agreed. Now, I've been doing sports talk here in Philadelphia for how many years? Sometimes Philadelphia has a complex that the fan base in general have a complex that they have trouble dealing with. It's us against the world. Everybody hates Philadelphia. Shoot, Jason Kelsey sings about it. How did the Eagles get compensation? Somehow the owner of the Miami Dolphins got suspended because it became apparent that he had tampered with Tom Brady while he's still a member of the Bucs to come and play quarterback for the Dolphins. What did the Bucs get out of that? I'll tell you, diddly squat. They got nothing. Sean Payton, when he was still the coach of the Saints, was tampered with by the Miami Dolphins. What did the New Orleans
Miami
Saints
does
get
a lot
of
of tampering.
Nothing. Zero. Nada. But somehow, because Masi Ossenfort, and you talk about stretches of truth, it was independently reported, self-reported. Monty Ossenfort calling Jonathon Gannon to give him a pep talk and or inside information.
Well, they are friends.
How to handle the Super Bowl. Come on. The first name that comes to mind is, let me get some insight as to how handle yourself on Super Bowl Sunday. Yeah, Monty Ossenfort. That's the first guy I want to get a call from because he's going to reveal all the secrets of the Super Bowl. Come on, you with this stuff. Please, Jonathon Gannon. He's not helping himself when he finally steps
No, he's done a very bad job handling these situations verbally because you got to sort of avoid the landmines. Now, it is true. And that's probably the route he should have gone, Jody. I mean, that's the reason he's got Arizona job, the Arizona, because he's very close to Monty Ossenfort. So that's how you spin it. Oh, he's a good friend of mine, blah, blah, blah. He's saying, he's wishing me good luck. And then, in between, oh, by the way, I want you to be the head coach and blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about relationships in this league. So he's done a really poor job of explaining this stuff. You got to play the game. You got to do the tap dance. As I said, the Eagles know. John McMullen doesn't know Jonathon Gannon is getting the Arizona Cardinals job, and the Eagles don't know. All right, that world doesn't exist. But the Eagles do the tap dance. Oh, I got the request after the game and blah, blah, blah. Because the Eagles are very savvy. A lot of people have brought up our buddy Marcus Hayes wrote a scathing Jonathon Gannon column last week. Was it last week? Yeah, I think it was last week. But, Howie Roseman's pissed and all that. Yeah, Howie's pissed. This dates back to last year.
Pardon me for interrupting. How can he be pissed when he himself looked right in the camera and said, "We're just renting Jonathon Gannon"? He knew for a fact this was coming.
Gannon was going to the point. No, here's the reason. Here's the reason.
How can you be pissed if you're Howie Roseman when it comes to fruition?
Here's the reason. Howie was pissed last year when Ian Cunningham and Brandon Brown got pilfered before. And remember, he changed that rule. He got that rule changed. So hiring secondary football executives, the timing of that has now changed because he was pissed. I'm sure he was pissed again after the Super Bowl. He was just constantly. He was so depressed because he knew what opportunity the Eagles had and let slip out of their grasp. And then he's probably thinking, Jesus, I lost my offensive coordinator. I lost my defensive coordinator. People are just picking the bones. Go steal Andy's guys. Plenty of people have over the years. But, so from that standpoint, yeah, after the fact, he's saying, damn it, Shane's got to deal with Indianapolis. Jonathan's got to deal with Arizona. I'm pissed off. Here's the rule. Damn it, I'm pissed. That's pure speculation, but that's my guess. And as I said, who's his assistant GM? John Ferrari, who's a compliance guy, knows the rules inside and out.
Right, but you can get on table, you can scream and yell, you can stomp your foot, you can do whatever you want. The league doesn't have to give you.
No, they don't.
They don't have to acknowledge that you're right about the reading of the rules. I just gave you two incidents that have come down in the last year, John, where the team that got the short end of the stick, that got tampered with, got nothing in exchange for it. But somehow this gets kicked up to the ownership level, and Laurie and Bidwell negotiate what the compensation's going to be, and the Eagles move up that many slots in the second round. And this is Philadelphia we're talking about, who, according to some of the Philadelphia fan base, the world is against them. They never get calls. They never get the benefit of the doubt. They never get any kind of break. Well, they got something that seems nobody else in the league got. Who's pulling strings here? Who's got that kind of juice?
We're talking about, I don't believe that for a second either. Ownership level. That's John Ferrari saying, here, Jeffrey, say this. You
don't think Jeffrey went back and forth between he and Bidwell? Went back and forth negotiating.
Bidwell couldn't go back and forth for 5 minutes on anything. But who gets the oil, Jody? The squeaky wheel. That's who gets the oil. You sit and you complain enough and you point out, look, this is the issue. This has been happening to us. People are picking our bones. Again, that part of it's just speculation. That's what I think happened. But you bring up a good point. There's been far more serious tampering issues. And why did, the NFL has no rhyme or reason. There's no precedent. Sometimes they just do stuff. And I'm guessing, the squeaky wheel got the oil. That's just a guess, though.
And if that's the way it is, so be it. It just is never. I've always found Goodell to be a guy who wants to have precedent to explain anything. That he
They change precedent all the time. That's part of the problem. That was the problem long before. Now it's a little bit different because they sort of boiled it down in the CBA. But the old days, if you think about when all the personal conduct issues started, was really Ray Rice in Atlantic City. That's where it all started. That there was no consistency. That was part of the problem. And everybody would say, how many times have you heard over the years, Jody? Well, so and so got suspended 4 games for marijuana.
Oh, I've heard it. I've heard it thousands of
Yeah.
times, and that's why I say I think Goodell tries. Doesn't always succeed, but I think he tries to have some kind of precedented explanation after the fact. And new things arise, things that have never happened before, things that you can't directly tie to a previous violation, whatever. That's why he's got one of the toughest jobs on the planet. That's why he's paid as much money as he is. He's got a really difficult job. I think he tries to get precedent. Well, you had precedent here with teams that had been found guilty of tampering, that had been punished, but the team that got tampered with never got anything in exchange. They just got we're sorry about that. But somehow the Eagles got something out of it. I don't know how. I don't know why. If you're an Eagle fan, maybe you just move on and don't question and go, hey, that's the way it shook out. That's good by us, because the Eagles certainly benefited from it, whereas other teams haven't. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We've got 2 good guests coming your way today. Mike Gill will be on in hour number 2. Eagles brought a West Virginia kid in for a little bit of a workout and a practice. We'll see if Gil knows anything about the West Virginia potential Philadelphia Eagle. And coming up next, Jimmy Kempski from PhillyVoice.com, one of the better Eagle beat writers, does it every day, in and out. And yes, sits next to John McMullen, where he tries to avoid having coffee spilled on him. We get Jimmy Kempski from Philly Voice up next here on Birds 365.
Do you stream